Highest to lowest screen just premiered over this weekend on the August 11th, and this is the fifth collaboration between Denzel Washington and Spike Lee. And Spike Lee was said to have made a statement that he thinks this is it between him and Denzel Washington. But over this few couple of days, it looks like he's backtracked on that. We'll be delving into the story why that is the case. And also with all the talk about AI, particularly with Sam Altman's AI, ChatGPT 5 and others leading the way, there is a film being shot right this moment starring Andrew Garfield playing him. We'll be delving into that story and also a development that Chris O'Dowd has joined the cast for the film titled Artificial. And last but not the least, it seems that the conversation on piracy is not ending anytime soon. We'll be delving into these stories and more right here on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions both from the African continent and the international front. And thank you for joining me for this episode. So, we'll be delving into the very first story. And for those who have known Denzel Washington, is one of the most celebrated film actor. And not only that, but he's also a producer and a director. And also performs in plays as well, a stage actor as well. So he wears many hats. And one of the frequent collaborators that we know Denzel Washington likes to work with is Spike Lee. And over the years, they've been churning out films. And in total, together with a new film that is coming on Apple TV Plus, on which is produced by A24, is highest to lowest, and it will be streaming on the platform on August 22nd. Well, on one of such premieres, particularly in Cannes, it was said that Spike Lee made a statement that he doesn't, I mean, he thinks that this is enough. You know, the collaboration between him and Denzel Washington, particularly with this particular film, that highest and lowest is the final one between him and the Denzel. Well, it looks like just this past couple of days he's backtracked on it, and he has changed his mind on that issue. So let's delve into an article that captures that story, and it is published in the Hollywood Reporter. Actually, initially it was captured by TMZ. So let's see what this article has to say. So Spike Lee walks back comments that highest to lowest will be his last film with Denzel Washington. I got my mind right. The filmmaker had previously said that the pair would finish with 5 team-ups, but now says this may not be the last film of the dynamic duo, D and Lee. And is written by Kirsten Chuba. So that's him in your shot. Spike Lee made headlines at Cannes this year when premiering his new film Highest to Lowest, and announcing that it would likely be his last team up with frequent collaborator Denzel Washington. I think this is it. 5. Lee told reporters of his and Washington's number of films together. He's been talking about retirement, even though he's just done another deal. 5 films together, they stand up. The pair have united for Inside Man, More Better Blues, Malcolm X, He God's Game, and now Highest to Lowest. But at the new film's New York premiere on Monday, Lee walked back those previous comments and kept the door open for more projects with Washington. I said that before, but I got my mind right, he told The Hollywood Reporter. I'm open to work with Denzel Washington, and this not be the last film of the dynamic duo D and Lee. Highest Lowest is a reinterpretation of Akira Kurosawa's 1963 film High and Low and sees a powerful music mogul, Washington, targeted by a ransom plot and put in a life or death moral dilemma. ASAP Rocky, Jeffrey Wright, Ilfenesh Hadera, Elijah Wright, Wendell Pierce, and Ice Spice also appear in the film. I became a student of Akira Kurosawa at NYU's Graduate Film School. That's where I saw Rashomon. That's where I saw many of samurai films. That's where I saw High and Low, Lee recalled, noting that Washington had gotten the property and he sent it to me. He said, Spike, read the script. If you like, let's go. I read it right away, called him up, I think the next day and said, let's go. It happened like that. So that is quite an interesting development. And personally, if I must say, I'm excited about the fact that they are not ending it at just 5. For those who have been following, just a couple of months ago, Denzel Washington actually did an interview with someone, I think online. And when he did mention that he's looking at retiring after a couple of films, about 5 or so. And there was where a lot of people got to discover that, oh, okay, he would actually be starring in Black Panther. So with that interesting development, it was of no surprise that Spike Lee said that he thinks 5 is enough between him and Denzel. But it looks like Denzel may not be ending anytime soon. From the looks of things, these 5 films could span to another 10 years or more. And looking at the fact that he's now 70 and he has more in him, it looks like Spike Lee is still, has backtracked on this, seeing that no, there's something perhaps happening behind the scenes that we may not be aware, but he is privy to. And looking at the films that they've been able to churn out, definitely, I wouldn't want them to actually end it at just highest to lowest. Prior to Highest Lowest, the last film they did together was Inside Man, which was 2006. That is almost 20 years in the making. So it is quite refreshing to have this dynamic duo come back to do a movie. And every one of those movies they've done have been a critical hit. And yes, a box office draw as well. Well, not in the scope as the big blockbuster movies that we've been seeing. But what we know is that anytime these two team up, magic happens. From He Got Game, More Better Blues, Malcolm X, was phenomenal. And you have Inside Man. And it is always, they are able to bring something onto the screen that is very unique. And I think perhaps when they did this movie, they saw the potential of more stories that they can tell together. So it is quite interesting that we finally have heard from him, Spike Lee himself. And I'm sure that him backtracking on this is not from him alone, because if you watch the video, TMZ was there on Monday 11th when Spike Lee was walking out of the theater, and one lady, posed the question to him to find out whether this is done. And he said no, he believes that Denzel has more in him. So I'm sure they've been talking, behind the scenes, and they've been putting some ideas together, and possibly, very possibly, they have a film planned out. As to whether all 5 films or so that Denzel has in mind to shoot will be shooting back to back, if that is not the case, then it's very likely that maybe after a couple of films, Denzel and Spike Lee will get back to the sets and be shooting another project altogether. So it is quite interesting because they always do magic together. He's almost like Quentin Tarantino with Samuel L. Jackson. They always do magic together. And with Spike Lee saying this, I'm confident of the fact that they have actually a film in mind or a script in mind or something that they are developing. But we should also keep in mind that even if Denzel Washington retires, the truth about it all is that he is a director. So he would perhaps move from just acting and then delve into directing. And currently he has a number of properties, a number of properties he is actually producing. He did Fences, and then he also did the piano lesson, of which his son actually directed. I've forgotten the director, the playwright, whom I think he's bought all his properties, the plays that he's written, and he has the intention of producing every single one of them and possibly directing some more. Because if you care to remember, he acted in Fences, but he also directed it as well after having played that role on the stage play for about 2 years or so. So Denzel would not retire anytime soon. He may retire from acting, but even with that one, it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. And so perhaps we should rest and and not be alarmed by the fact that he's retiring anytime soon. But I think one of the things that most people are anticipating after highest to lowest is what role is he going to play in the Black Panther movie that he did speak about. And he said Ryan Coogler is writing a role for him. A lot of speculations have been around Magneto, in X-Men, but in Wakanda. And so there's a lot of rumor going around. Currently, as we are talking right now, we don't know which role he's playing in the Wakandan universe or the MCU. But then we know that since it is Ryan Coogler writing it, it's going to be a good role and it's going to be something very powerful and interesting to note. But currently, as we are here, Highest Lowest will be premiering on the Apple Plus TV, Apple TV Plus platform on August 22nd. So hold your horses. And it's actually coming to cinemas too as well. If I'm not mistaken, it's coming to cinemas, but I don't know whether it's a day and date release. But it looks like to be in cinemas for a while, just for a short period, I think 2 weeks or so, and then it will end up on the platform for everybody who have a subscription to that account or any other to watch. So what do you think of this comment by Spike Lee saying that he doesn't think the collaboration between him and Denzel Washington is ending anytime soon? Do you think perhaps they have a script already planned? That's why he's giving us this new revelation. Well, whatever you think, leave them in the comment section down below. So moving on from Denzel, Spike Lee revealing this exciting information to us, to what everybody is talking about is AI. And I'm sure that even the baby who do not know much about the world knows that there's something called AI now. And one of the prominent figures in AI today is Sam Altman. And Sam Altman is the founder of OpenAI, which has produced the ChatGPT. And recently we had the ChatGPT 5 was released. And the interesting thing about his life, or if you go back to 2022, remember that when he launched the OpenAI, he was fired and rehired within a span of like 5 days. And that is quite interesting. Well, as it stands now, there is a movie titled Artificial, which is being shot at the moment, starring Andrew Garfield playing him as a character. And to that regard, a new actor has also joined the cast, and his name is none other than Chris O'Dowd. And he happens to be a comedian, a stand-up comedian, and an actor. I don't remember much of the films he has starred in, I'll be honest, but I remember that he starred in the Thor: The Dark World as I think Richard, as one of the characters in the Thor: The Dark World movie. So let's read this article and see what it has to say. So it says that Chris O'Dowd O'Dowd joins Andrew Garfield in Luca Guadagnino's OpenAI movie Artificial. And then you have, it's written by Boris Kitt. It says that Chris O'Dowd has joined the sprawling cast of Luca Guadagnino's Artificial, Amazon's MGM's drama centered on the true life story of artificial intelligence company OpenAI. Artificial has Andrew Garfield, Yura Borisov, and Monica Barbaro leading a cast that also includes Jason Schwartzman, Cooper Hoffman, Ike Barinholtz, Cooper Koch, Billy Loud, and Zosia Mamet. The movie is being described as a comedic drama, although it is a dramatized recounting of the tumultuous period at OpenAI in 2023. So pardon me, it's actually 2023. I said 2022. So 2023, that saw CEO Sam Altman fired and rehired in a matter of days. Altman co-founded OpenAI, but in the fall of that year, amid mounting safety concerns regarding AI and reports of abusive behavior, he was ousted as the head of the company by his board. 5 days later, after a revolt, he was reinstated. Garfield is playing Altman. Details for O'Dowd's character are being kept in a data center. That's quite funny. Simon Rich wrote the script and is producing alongside Heyday Films, David Heyman, and Jeffrey Clifford, as well as Jennifer Fox. The movie is currently shooting. Artificial marks the first feature that O'Dowd is doing since 2022's big budget fantasy Slumberland. The Tony Award nominated and Emmy winning actor most recently created, directed, and starred in the original Sky series, Small Town, Big Story, and is generating Emmy buzz for his Black Mirror episode, Common People. He is represented by CAA, Gordon and French, and 3 Arts. So there you have it. Chris O'Dowd is now part of the cast of Artificial. And, for to have an Emmy winning, award-winning winner to be part of this project means how it points to the fact that they are taking this serious, this particular film very serious. And some have it that it's thriller, others too says that it is actually going to be comedy. As to which genre it's going to belong to, I actually do not know. But then I'm sure they may blend the two and have elements of it. Maybe the thriller part would be where the safety concerns of what AI is capable of doing that may not really be in favor of humanity. That may be that aspect, that may cover that aspect. And maybe, I'm just guessing though, but maybe the comedic aspect will be the fact that he was sacked and rehired after 5 days. So currently, as to how the story is going to play out, we do not know. But then the issue concerning Sam Altman is literally, public domain as to his sacking and how they were falling out between him and Elon Musk and other people. I'm sure all this would perhaps be captured in the film. And also the possibility of someone playing a representative from Microsoft. So there's a whole lot of parties involved in this particular OpenAI story, which will be represented on screen in the film titled Artificial. And I think it's quite interesting having Andrew Garfield, who starred in the social what's it called, the film about Mark Zuckerberg, social, I think I keep forgetting, I'm blacking out on the name. But then you have him starring in the social media film that was directed by David Fincher and written by, I keep forgetting the name of the one who is going to be writing, who would be doing the second part. But then he's already had a foray in acting, a film or portraying a character who was in the social media space, and now he is going to portray the life of an AI expert or founder of OpenAI. So it is quite interesting. So for those who may not have watched any of these films, it looks like this film will follow in the same vein as the Steve Jobs, which had Ashton Kutcher portraying him, and at one time as well, the film Jobs had this X-Men actor. I keep forgetting their names, but it will follow in the same sequence as the story about Steve Jobs or the story about Mark Zuckerberg. But this time around, it will center around AI. For the story of Steve Jobs, it had to do with the inventions of the iPad, the iPods, and the iPhone. And with the story of Mark Zuckerberg, it had to do with how he established, the social media network and became a phenomenon. And then the falling out between him and those investors around him. But this time around, it will be about Sam Altman and perhaps reveal much more as to what happened to what led to him being sacked by the board and why the necessity. Yes, we in the article we read that there was a revolt and it had to bring, it compelled the board to reinstate him as the CEO and leader of the company. So there's a lot more that perhaps will be unveiled. And I think to have this movie actually done is good for the time we find ourselves in. And this will not be a fictionalized AI as to perhaps whether the AI is really going to help humanity without any consequences, or there are more consequences than it being helpful. So I'm sure when the film is finally shot and they stick perhaps true to whichever source material or facts that unveiled during the time of the falling out, we may get to know more as to what transpired, whether it has to do with not just ethics, but something deeper. We would get to know how perhaps OpenAI operates in the first place. So I think a film like this is very important for the time we live in. Even though it looks like this story just happened about 3 years ago, it seems so fresh that it's still, sometimes you will wonder whether isn't it too fresh to portray it on screen, but I think it is actually so timely so that we get to know what happened, whether AI is safe for us or there are other things we need to look out for when using it. So there's a lot of questions around AI as it stands now, and I think this film is so perfect for the times. And the fascinating aspect of it is that they are not spending much to do this movie. They are spending just $40 million, having Andrew Garfield and all these stars coming on board. Yeah, it is quite exciting. And personally, I'm looking forward to watch it because I was entertained by now I remember the social network. So for the social network starred Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg. And unfortunately, he's not returning. So we have the writer for the first one returning as a writer, but also a director for the second film. So it will be quite interesting with all these films coming up. And I'm sure with the social network too, as well, it will have a little aspect of AI and as well the issues concerning Mark Zuckerberg and I'm blanking out a little bit on the issue of the social media network, but it has to do with the Congress where Mark Zuckerberg was summoned to the Congress to answer questions concerning certain issues and all that. So there's a lot happening within this era, and I think one of the films everybody should look out for is Artificial, because as we live in this day and age, the next evolution of technology and everything is AI. Social media still exists, but the next evolution is AI that is incorporated in almost every aspect of our life. So to know what transpired on the OpenAI issue would be quite interesting. And I, for one, I'm sold. I'm as to whether it's going to be a good movie or not, that I cannot tell. But I think the subject matter is so important that I'm looking forward to watch it anyway. And knowing Andrew Garfield, he's going to deliver, with regards to his performance, it's always A1. And the addition of Chris O'Dowd alone, an Emmy Award winner, and also someone who has been nominated for so many other projects, it means that the director, Luca, is taking this very project so serious. So I'm sold about it. Let me know, what do you think with regards to this addition and even the film in general? Do you think it's a film meant for the times? Whatever you think concerning this, leave it in the comments section below. And then moving on from Hollywood to Ghana, Black Star Films, there's been a lot of talks about piracy, and quite recently we had one Ghanaian content creator or filmmaker, uh, I mean, went ahead to cause the arrest of one TV station for showing her films on their television without her requisite permission. And this particular incident has fueled even more the conversation around piracy in Ghana. And even prior to the arrest, you had a number of Nigerian filmmakers complaining that their films are being shown on Ghana television without their permission. So the conversation of piracy actually goes way back before now. Now, another entertainment pundit and an artist manager has also waded into these waters with his thoughts, and this is none other than Nana Poku Ashis. And this story is actually captured on the Ghana Web website, and he says, movie piracy saga, there is so much chaos in the industry, Ashis. So Ghanaian artist manager and entertainment pundit Nana Poku Ashis has blamed industry stakeholders for Ghana's failure to adequately prepare for and capitalize on the movie industry in its early days. In an interview with Hits FM on August 13, 2025, Ashis noted that although Ghana had the advantage of starting its entertainment industry before Nigeria, a lack of planning and collaboration hindered its growth. We had all the opportunities to do better. We started this entertainment industry before Nigeria, but we failed to take advantage of so many opportunities, he said. According to him, Nigeria's consistency and strategic approach have allowed it to overtake Ghana, creating lucrative job opportunities for its people. Now Nigeria has overtaken us. They were consistent in what they were doing and have created lucrative job opportunities for themselves, while we have been adamant and claimed to be bosses over nothing, he remarked. Ashes pointed to the absence of a unified entertainment body and persistent internal conflicts as major factors behind the industry's stagnation. We don't have a collective force that can come together to achieve a specific goal. There are only small bodies, and even within those, there is so much chaos. That's why all this nonsense is happening, he added. The producer also criticized the exploitation of intellectual property, lamenting that creatives often allow others to profit from their work while they themselves suffer. We are a bunch of chaotic people, which is why anyone can come and insult us and walk away. We do the damage to ourselves first, he said. Movie piracy on Ghanaian TV, how long will it take to stop? So Ash's comments follow recent allegations by Nigerian actor and producer Nosa Rex, who accused the Ghanaian TV station of pirating his films. He condemned such practices, stating that they damage the reputation of Ghana's entertainment industry, and called on the relevant bodies to unite in tackling the problem. So I didn't even know that there's a new person who has waded into the waters, and that is Nigerian actor and producer Nosa Rex. So it looks like this issue of piracy is becoming really a canker in the system of Ghana in particular. And I do agree with Ashes with regards to the fact that it is tainting the image of Ghana's film and entertainment industry as a whole. And this ought to be taken more seriously. You know, it will look like a very easy thing to do, show your movie on the screen and nobody will complain. Or even if people complain and nothing is done about it, you think that is the best. But I think in the long term, it goes to hurt us as a people. How does it hurt us? Well, we've been complaining about how the film industry have not been doing well. And one of the reasons is piracy, because the revenue that could have been generated on those platforms that these films are for people to go and watch it there, for them to generate those internet or social media dollars or cities or cents, once it's shown on television stations, those who have already watched it won't go back to watch it on those filmmakers' personal accounts. And that in turn does more harm to the industry than we think. Because if filmmakers can't recoup their funding or finances to be able to put it into their next project, then it means that we've truncated an otherwise lucrative industry from one individual, which in turn would affect a lot of people, because filmmakers work with people, actors, cast, even artisans from different walks of life. And the generation of these monies goes to sort all these people out. So when these piracy keeps on going, particularly when it's aired on television screens, a lot of people who get to watch it will not return. And that hurts the industry more than we think. And aside that, we live in a global village now where all TV stations now more than ever stream their content online. And as a result of that, anybody anywhere in the world can easily know what these TV stations are showing. And even if they choose not to show certain aspects of